Good afternoon. This is Kavipriya, Assistant Professor, EC Department, SNS College of Technology. I'm going to discuss about the topic capacitance from the subject electromagnetic fields and waves. So these are all the topic for discussion. I'm going to discuss about the concept of capacitance and what are the factors which affects a capacitance. What is a capacitor with a dielectric material and parallel combination of capacitance, and finally the applications of capacitance. So before starting with the discussion, let's recall about the dielectric material. As we have discussed in the last video, dielectric materials is exactly opposite to the conducting materials. Here we won't be having a free movement of charges. It contains only the bound charges. So when an electric field is applied to a dielectric material, polarization occurs, which means that positive and negative charges will be separated. So this application of this electric field to a dielectric material reduces the dielectric nature of the material. Examples for this dielectric materials are glass, mica, rubber, ceramic, etc. It is being widely used in the capacitance and insulating systems for storing the charges. So let's start with the capacitance. The day-to-day life, as we all know, the capacitance is a storage element. It stores the electrical energy. It stores an energy in an electric field. So what are all the day-to-day life essentials which are being related to this capacitance? Water stored in a tank and the sponge holding the water and battery charging a mobile. These are all the day-to-day life essentials which are most similar related to this capacitance. So let's start with this capacitance. Capacitance is nothing but it is a ratio of charge stored to the potential that is being applied. It is a storage element for storing the energy in the electric field. So Q by V, Q is a charge and V is a potential applied. So what is a charge stored when a potential is being applied to the material? Unit for capacitance is a farad. It is a scalar quantity. It depends on the material's capacitance. The storage element of a capacitance depends on the geometry and the dielectric medium. And next one is a curiosity challenge, odd man out. Among the four, energy storage, charge storage, signal amplification, electric field formation, the signal amplification is a odd man out. It is not a capacitor function. And next one is a riddle. I depend on area, wide and gap so small. Insert a dielectric, I grow tall. I store energy without a flow. What am I? Which is nothing but it is a parallel plate capacitor. And next one, I am going to discuss about this parallel plate capacitor. So it consists of two parallel plates separated by a dielectric medium. Here the capacitance is given by C is equal to epsilon into A by D, where epsilon is a permittivity, C is a capacitance, A is a area between the plates, and the D is a distance of separation between the plates. Epsilon is a permittivity which is equal to epsilon naught into epsilon r. Epsilon naught is a permittivity of a free space. Epsilon r is a relative permittivity. And next one, what are all the factors that are affecting this capacitance? The factors that are affecting this capacitance are, first one is the area of the plates, and second one is the distance between the plates, third one is a dielectric constant, and the fourth one is a plate geometry. C is equal to epsilon into A divided by D. So epsilon is a permittivity, dielectric constant, and D is a distance and A is the area. So these four factors affects the capacitance mainly. So area, distance, dielectric constant and the plate geometry. So when the area of the plate increases, capacitance increases. And the distance between the plate increases, capacitance decreases. And next one is the applications of the capacitance. It is an energy storage element. So main purpose is to store the energy, and it is used for coupling the signals and as well as decoupling the signals. It acts as a filter. Capacitance act as a low pass and high pass filter for filtering the signals of specified frequency. It is used for power factor correction. It is used for starting the induction motor, and it is used for DC power supply. So DC power supply filtering, it is used to filter the AC signals in DC, and it is used in tuning radio. And next one is an assessment question. The capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor does not depend on the charge stored on the plate. It depends on area, it depends on distance and depends on permittivity, whereas it does not depend on the charges. A parallel plate capacitor is connected to a battery. If a plate's distance is increased, the distance between the plate is being increased without removing the battery, the charge stored will decrease. So distance increase, whenever there is an increase in distance between the plates, the charge stored will decrease. And this is what the summary. We have discussed about what is a capacitance, and we have discussed about the parallel plate capacitance, and we have discussed about the factors that is affecting the capacitance. And finally, the applications of the capacitance. And these are all my references. Thank you.